They say you can tell a lot about a person by what they are willing to walk away from. Some people walk away from struggle. Some walk away from love. Some walk away from a hospital bed on their very own wedding night because the life in front of them no longer matches the life they imagined. But here is what nobody tells you. The life you imagine and the life that will actually make you happy, they are rarely the same thing. Today, I want to tell you the story of two sisters. Two weddings, same day, same roof, but completely different destinies. And I promise you, by the time this story ends, you will never look at the word success the same way again. Every story I tell has a lesson inside it. Before we begin, if you love stories that move you, challenge you, and change the way you see life, hit that like button right now. Drop a comment and tell me honestly, would you marry for love or would you marry for money? And if you have not yet joined this family, hit subscribe and turn on the bell. Now, let us begin. The Harmattan had just started to ease its grip over the city of Abuja when the Okonkwo household woke before dawn on the morning that would change everything. In the smaller bedroom at the back of the house, Ada stood before a plain mirror, adjusting a wedding dress that had once belonged to her late mother, Ngozi. The fabric was ivory, modest, a little worn at the hem, but Ada wore it like armor. Her fingers trembled as she hooked the last clasp. Her eyes were red, not from sadness, from 3 nights of little sleep and quiet prayer. She was not marrying a wealthy man. She was not marrying status or connections or a family name that opened doors. She was marrying Tobena, a man with calloused hands, a rented apartment, and a dream he had not yet had the chance to prove. Everyone around her thought she was settling. They were wrong. In the master guest room at the front of the same house, Ada's stepsister, Chisom, turned slowly before a mirror framed in gold leaf. Her gown had been imported. The beadwork alone had taken 6 weeks. She smiled at every angle, already deciding which Instagram filter she would use on the photos. Chisom was marrying Kingsley Obasiko, the newly appointed managing director of his family's oil servicing company. 300 guests, the Transcorp Hilton, drone footage, a 15-piece live band, a custom monogram projected onto the ballroom ceiling. Everyone around her thought she had won. They were also wrong. Their father, Emeka, knocked gently on Ada's door that morning. He entered slowly, his eyes already full. Since their mother Ngozi had passed 3 years ago, when Ada was just 22, these moments between them had become precious, almost endangered. His second marriage to Vivian had shifted the architecture of their home in ways Ada was still learning to live inside. He reached out and touched his daughter's cheek. "You look so much like her," he whispered. "Your mother would be so proud." "Papa," Ada said softly, "are you sure about all of this? About everything?" He looked away, conflicted, carrying something heavy behind his eyes. Before he could answer, Vivian appeared in the doorway, poised, perfumed, impossibly put together for 6 in the morning. "Emeka, the decorators are at both venues. Someone needs to supervise." She glanced at Ada. "You look nice, simple but nice." And just like that, the moment between father and daughter was folded up and quietly put away. Across town in Karu, Tobena arrived at the small ceremony hall with his mother and 2 brothers. 29 years old, lean and tall, with hands that told a story, calloused from construction sites, roughened by years of honest labor. He wore a suit he had saved 5 months to buy. His mother had ironed it 3 times that morning. "Are you nervous, my son?" Tobena smiled, warm, unhurried, reaching all the way to his eyes. "No, Mama. I met Ada twice before we agreed to this. She is educated. She is kind. She listens. I believe we will build something real together." "But her family has money, Toby. What if she expects more than you can give?" Then we will talk about it, he said gently. I have been honest about everything I have and everything I do not. I work hard, I have dreams. If that is not enough, it is better to know now than to pretend and suffer later. Meanwhile, at the Transcorp Hilton, Kingsley Obasiko stepped out of a chauffeured Range Rover, flanked by his parents and his personal assistant. 33 years old, handsome the way money makes men handsome, well-fed, well-tailored, polished smooth by privilege. Make sure the drone footage starts the moment I walk through the main doors, he said into his phone. His mother touched his arm. Kingsley, you look pale. Are you all right? Fine, mommy. Just a headache. Work stress. You've been having these headaches every week. When last did you see Dr. Taiwo? Not today, mommy, he said firmly, straightening his cufflinks. Today is a celebration. He put on his most camera-ready smile and walked through the doors. Ada and Tobena's ceremony was intimate. 70 guests filled a modest hall, decorated with white fabric and yellow wildflowers gathered from a field outside the city. Warm, simple, the kind of love that does not need an audience. When it came to the vows, Tobena looked directly at Ada and spoke without notes. Ada, I come to you with honesty. I do not have wealth. I do not have connections. What I have is a willingness to work hard, to be fully present, to build our life together brick by brick for as long as it takes. I promise to honor your dreams as much as my own, to share both the struggle and the harvest, to be your true partner, not just in name but in action, every single day. Ada felt something open in her chest, something sealed shut for 3 years since her mother died, since the house changed, since she learned to make herself smaller and quieter. No one had seen her this clearly in a very long time. Tobena, I replied, her voice steady. I accept you. I believe in hard work. I believe in building something that lasts, and I am ready to do that with you. Her father Emeka wept in the front row. Vivian sat beside him, her expression unreadable. At the Hilton, Kingsley and Chisom's wedding was a production. 300 guests, imported flowers from the ceiling, a gold monogram on the back wall. Chisom glowed throughout, rehearsing captions in her head. She barely knew Kingsley beyond surface pleasantries, but he was successful, handsome, from the right family. What more was there to ask? Kingsley performed the ceremony with practiced grace, the right words at the right moments, his smile always angled toward the nearest camera. But halfway through the exchange of rings, his hand trembled. He steadied it quickly, hoped no one noticed. His mother noticed. She always noticed everything. Now, my people, let me ask you something. What matters more on your wedding night? The size of the room you sleep in, or the quality of the conversation you have before you sleep? Think about that carefully, because the answer tells you everything about the life you are actually building. Ada and Tobena arrived at his small apartment in Karu that night. Old building, clean, modest furniture arranged with care, a single potted plant beside the window. Tobena unlocked the door and looked at his new wife with apology forming in his eyes. It's not what you are used to. Ada looked around slowly and surprised him completely by smiling. It feels like a home, she said. It's peaceful. They sat on the couch together. Tobena made zobo from scratch, the way his mother had taught him. They sipped from mismatched cups, and in that small, ordinary moment, Ada asked a question that changed everything. Tell me your dreams. My dreams? Yes. What do you actually want from life?
He set down his cup, thought carefully before he answered, not because he did not know, but because no one had ever asked him so directly, with such genuine interest. I want to start my own construction company. Not huge, just good. Building quality homes for middle-class families who deserve better. Fair prices, honest work. I have been saving every kobo I can. I know exactly what I want to build. I just need the right foundation. Ada was quiet for a moment. Then she said, I have a degree in business administration that I have never really used. At home, there was never much space for me to grow into anything. But maybe I could help with the planning, the finances, the management. Tubena's eyes lit up in a way no wedding camera could have captured. You would want to do that? Work with me? Why not? If we are truly partners, let us be real partners in everything. They talked until well past midnight. Two people who had been strangers just a week before, discovering shared values, complementary skills, a matching hunger to build something meaningful. The apartment was small, but that night, filled with honest conversation and unguarded possibility, it felt like the largest room in the world. Meanwhile, at the Obasicol estate in Maitama, Chisom was filming every corner of the master suite for her social media. White marble, gold fixtures, a walk-in closet that could host a dinner party. My followers are going to literally die, she breathed. In the bathroom, Kingsley was gripping the marble counter with both hands. The headache had become something different. Pressure behind his eyes, a strange tingling crawling down his left arm. He splashed cold water on his face, told himself it was just the stress of the day. When he came out, Chisom was posed on the bed. Babe, take a few shots of me with the room in the background. The lighting right now is everything. He reached for her phone. His hand spasmed. The phone hit the marble floor. Then Kingsley's entire body went rigid. His eyes rolled back. Kingsley, what is... He collapsed. Chisom's scream brought Kingsley's parents running from the east wing. Mrs. Obasiko took one look at her son and was already on the phone, hands shaking, voice controlled. He's having a seizure, my son. He has epilepsy. We need an ambulance immediately. Chisom backed against the wall, the color draining from her face. Epilepsy? No one told me. No one said anything. Mr. Obasiko looked up from beside his son, guilt and defensiveness fighting in his eyes. It has been controlled for years. He has not had an episode in almost 2 years. We thought... You hid this from me? Chisom's voice clanged. This is my wedding night. The ambulance came. Kingsley was stabilized. Stress and missed medication had triggered the seizure. With proper management, he would be fine. But epilepsy is lifelong. Monitoring, medication, precautions, things that could not be photographed or filtered or posted as evidence of a perfect life. At 3 a.m, Chisom sat in a hospital waiting room, her designer wedding dress looking tragic under fluorescent lights. Vivian arrived and spoke in urgent whispers. They concealed a serious medical condition. That is grounds for annulment. End this now before it becomes your burden. But mommy, what will people say? They will say you are deceived, which you were. Think of your future, Chisom. The limitations, the medical costs. Think clearly. Chisom looked through the glass at Kingsley in the hospital bed, his parents on either side holding his hands. For one brief moment, she felt something close to compassion, something close to a different choice. Then she thought about the life she had imagined, the parties, the travel, the curated existence she had been promised. I want out, she said quietly. Get me out. If you are still watching at this point, drop a comment right now with the words, I am still here. Let us see who is truly following this story, because it is about to go somewhere you are not expecting. While Chisom was making her decision in that waiting room, Ada was waking the next morning to the smell of breakfast. She found Tubena in the kitchen in his wedding trousers and a plain white vest, making akara and scrambled eggs, completely at home in the small space. You cook? She asked. He grinned without turning around. Bachelor life is an excellent teacher. They ate breakfast, making plans for the week. No honeymoon, no resort. Just time together, learning each other, mapping a future on a small wooden table. Over the months that followed, they both kept their regular jobs while building their plan every evening and weekend, meeting suppliers, studying the cement market, crunching numbers until their eyes burned. They were a complete team. To Bena's ground-level knowledge of construction, Ada's strategic mind and financial discipline. When he grew discouraged, she pushed forward. When she felt overwhelmed, he steadied her. By the 6th month, they had secured a small business loan. By the 8th, they had leased a production facility. By the 10th month, they poured their very first batch of cement. It was not perfect. Equipment broke down. Supplies were delayed. There were cash flow arguments at midnight when both of them were exhausted. There were months when they genuinely wondered if it was worth it. But there was progress. Real, undeniable progress. Friends, let me say something here. The stories we are told about success always start at the moment of victory. The champagne, the applause, the announcement. They do not show you the 500 quiet mornings of showing up before anyone was watching. The small decisions, the daily discipline, the faith you have to keep choosing when the evidence has not yet arrived. Are you willing to do that work without an audience? That is the real question. 1 year after their wedding, their cement company was not just surviving, it was growing. 3 major contracts with construction firms in the region, a reputation for quality and fair pricing spreading faster than any advertisement could carry it. They hired their first 5 employees, giving 5 families in their community a reliable income. One evening, Ada stood in their small office looking at the growth charts. Tubena rested both hands on her shoulders. Remember when we had nothing but a dream and a few 100,000 naira? Ada leaned back against him. We still have the dream, but now we have proof we can make it real. I am grateful, he said, not just for the business, for you, for a real partner. We found each other, Ada smiled. That was the first and best investment we ever made. Chisom's year had been a very different kind of education. The social stigma she had feared materialized completely. Marriage proposals dried up. Depression settled over her like harmattan dust, quiet, grey, pervasive. She stopped wearing makeup, stopped leaving the house, stopped caring about the things that had once felt like the whole substance of her identity. One afternoon, Emeka found her sitting alone in the garden staring at nothing. Chisom, you cannot keep living like this. What else is there, Papa? My life is finished. Every door is closed. You are 26 years old. Your whole life is ahead of you. I have nothing, no husband, no direction. I am a failure. That is simply the truth. Emeka was quiet for a long moment. Then he said something unexpected. Maybe this is your opportunity to finally discover who Chisom actually is. Not a wife, not a social position. Who are you really? She looked at him with something like shock. I don't know, she admitted. I've never actually thought about it. Then, he said gently, it is time to start. 2 months later, Ada visited her father's house for the first time since the wedding. Over tea, she talked about the business, the challenges, the small victories, about who she was becoming alongside Tubena. She spoke with a confidence and direction that had never been there before.
Chisom had it all from the hallway, unseen. When had quiet, unremarkable Ada become this person? As Ada was leaving, Chisom caught up with her at the door. Ada, can we talk, please? Ada looked at her stepsister, really looked. The weight loss, the dull eyes, the defeated posture. Every trace of resentment dissolved into something she had not expected. Compassion. Of course, she said. Let us walk. In the garden, after a long silence, Chisom finally spoke. I was wrong about you, about everything. I thought I was making the smarter choice, the wealthy husband, the status. I looked down on you for marrying Tubena. I thought I was lucky and you were settling. She stopped walking. But I was chasing the wrong things. And when difficulty arrived, the kind you cannot filter away, I had nothing inside me to meet it with. I just ran, because all I ever cared about was the image. What happened was not entirely your fault, Ada said. The Obasiko family should have disclosed Kingsley's condition. Maybe, but my reaction, Chisom's voice cracked. I did not even try to understand. I just saw something that did not fit the picture and I walked away. I have lost everything, Ada. My reputation, my confidence. I do not know who I am anymore. Ada stopped and turned to face her. Maybe that is not entirely a bad thing. Maybe not knowing who you are is the first honest step towards figuring it out. But where do I even begin? By doing something. Not for status, not for appearance, for yourself. What did you study? Fashion design, but I never did anything with it. Mommy said it was not practical. Do you still love it? Chisom thought about it. Really thought. Perhaps for the first time in years. Yes, she said slowly. I think I do. Then start there, Ada said simply. Not to prove anything to anyone. Just to see if there is something real inside you worth building. That conversation was a turning point. Over the month that followed, Chisom began to emerge. She enrolled in an advanced fashion design program. She started sketching again late at night at a small desk in her mother's house, rediscovering a creativity she had buried for years beneath the need to be what everyone expected. She started small, designing for friends, then friends of friends. Her work was genuinely good, not because of connections, but because she was talented and finally applying herself to something that truly mattered. 18 months after the divorce, Chisom called Ada. I got my first paid commission. A bride wants me to design her wedding outfit. It is not a large amount, but Ada, I earned it. I built it. It is mine. I am proud of you, Ada said, and meant every word. Thank you, Chisom said softly, for that conversation in the garden, for not judging me when you had every right to. 2 years after those parallel weddings, Ada and Tobena's cement company had 30 employees, multiple regional contracts, and a name the industry recognized and trusted. And they protected every value they started with: fair wages, honest dealings, quality that never compromised itself for a higher margin. One evening, Ada read from a consultant's proposal. We could increase revenue by 20% by reducing workers' wages to the industry minimum. Tobena shook his head before she finished. Not a chance. Our workers are the reason we are successful. We are not building this on exploitation. Ada placed the report in the rejection pile with a quiet smile. Good, I was testing you. Just making sure prosperity has not changed your principles. Never, he said. Money is good, Ada, but who you become in the making of it, that matters far more. Chisom, meanwhile, had opened a small boutique studio. Not prestigious, not high profile, but hers. She designed clothes that real women wanted to wear. Practical, beautiful, accessible. Middle-class brides and young professionals who deserved to feel special without being bankrupted for it. One afternoon, a young woman came in apologetically. She was marrying a secondary school teacher who did not earn much. Chisom thought of herself 2 years ago, obsessed with wealth, dismissive of anyone with less, measuring people by addresses and cars. She felt shame at who she had been, followed by gratitude for who she was becoming. Let me show you what we can do within your budget, she said warmly. Every bride deserves to feel beautiful, regardless of what her husband earns. Love matters more than money. Trust me. I learned it the hard way, and it cost me everything to learn it. 2.5 years after those 2 parallel weddings, Emeka organized a family dinner. Ada and Tobena arrived first with homemade puff-puff and good palm wine. Chisom came carrying fabric samples and sketches to show her stepfather. The dinner was quieter than any wedding reception had been, but warmer, more real. As the plates were cleared, Vivian set down her fork and said something no one expected. I need to say something. I pushed for both those marriages. I arranged for Ada to marry Tobena because I did not want her competing with Chisom. I arranged for Chisom to marry Kingsley because I wanted status for this family and for myself. I was wrong about what makes a good match. I was wrong about what truly matters. A long silence. Chisom reached across and took her mother's hand. We both had things to learn, Mommy. I am still learning mine. Emeka looked at Ada with tears he made no effort to stop. Your mother would be so proud. I should have protected you better. I am sorry, my daughter. Ada rose and held her father. You gave me the freedom to make my own choices, Papa, even when it was hard. That was enough. That turned out to be exactly enough. Later, driving home through the lit streets of Abuja, Ada looked out the city. Do you ever think about what might have happened if things were reversed? If you had been the wealthy one? Tobena thought about it. I don't think it would have mattered. What matters is not the starting point. It is the journey and who you choose to walk it with. We chose each other. We chose to work hard. We chose to build something that actually means something. Those choices, not the money, not the apartment, not the wedding venue, those choices made all the difference. Ada was quiet for a moment. Wealth does not create happiness. Character does. Effort does. Real partnership does. Besides, Tobena added, with that slow, warm grin she had first seen on his face in a modest hall decorated with yellow flowers. We are not poor anymore. We built something real, together from nothing, and that is the best kind of success there is. So, my dear family, what did we truly learn from these two sisters? Ada started with less. She chose a partner based on character and shared values. Together they built genuine prosperity through hard work, mutual respect, and an integrity that refused to bend when success arrived. Her marriage was not perfect. No marriage is, but it was built on a real foundation, and that foundation held every time it was tested. Chisom started with more, but she chose based on appearances and material promises. And when real difficulty arrived, the kind you cannot filter or manage or step around, there was nothing beneath her feet. Her journey became about finding herself, learning what truly matters, building something honest on her own terms. It took longer, it cost more, but she got there. Here is what I want you to carry with you tonight. What are you chasing? Are you building your life on solid ground or on shifting sand that looks impressive from a distance? Are you choosing the people around you because they will help you grow or because they look good in a photograph? Wealth can disappear in a single afternoon, through illness, through betrayal, through a dozen circumstances no one plans for. But character, genuine partnership, and personal integrity, those are assets no crisis can take from you. Ada found peace faster because she chose wisely from the beginning. Chisom found peace eventually, but only after paying a very high price for the lesson. The question I leave you with is this. In your own life right now, with the choices in front of you today, are you making decisions based on what looks good or on what is actually good?